After a wild day filled with all of the quarterfinals of the North Dakota boys and girls state tournaments, today marks the beginning of the semifinal round. We return to Shields Arena where the 8-seed Bismarck Century Patriots face the 4-seed Grand Forks Knight Riders for a spot in the title game tomorrow. Now those Grand Forks Knight Riders trying to push back to the state championship game. Bismarck Century, the 8-seed, trying to continue their Cinderella run. Here's Grand Forks in the O-Zone. Maya Menausho gets the opening goal. Knight Riders take the first period lead, but we go back to Century. Close shot is saved here, pushed back for another go, and what a snipe from downtown. There's the tying goal. Olivia Frankman evens us at 1, and the Patriots are not done yet. Pass going around the back of the net, keeper away from the front. There's the chance. Lily Coonan strikes the leading goal, and it's all Pats from there. For the first time in NDHSAA girls hockey history, an 8-seed is in the finals. Next up, 2-seed Fargo North-South Spruans up against the 3-seed Mandan Braves. And after a 1-0 Spruan start, they're trying to make it 2. Shot missed at close range. Their puck circled back around. There's another long shot. It's off the keeper's chest. Puck is still loose, and the slow shot just trickling past the edge of the goal. We're stuck at 1-0 after 2 periods, but now in the third, North-South skating around net. Shots in, deflected back around the right corner, and this one is past the netminder. Anna Nelson with the goal to lead 2-0, and that will be the finish in this very defensive game. Spruans take it by a pair. Now the final bracket is set. The Bismarck Century Patriots, again, the first 8-seed team to ever make this girls hockey championship here in North Dakota. Patriots in their first state title game after the dissolution of the Bismarck Blizzard a few years ago. That Blizzard team won 6 straight state titles from 2015 to 2020. So the Spruans trying to win their 3rd straight, get title game in their 6th appearance. 7 years, crazy hockey stuff.
How fun. Thanks for joining us for Valley News Live at 6. Have a great night.